Okay. How's everybody doing? Master Johnson here with Shockwave Defense. I'm here with our brilliant, one of our brilliant mindset coaches, James Serendip. James, good morning. How are you doing?
Excellent, Master Johnson. How are you today?
Good to see you.
You too.
I know that we have a ton of stuff going on in the world right now, and a lot of people are just like dealing with a lot. So I wanted to talk for a couple of moments just on mental power and controlling your thoughts. And one of the things that we're looking to do this Thursday is have an entire overview on communication under high stress and high risk environments, whether that's somebody shooting at you or you've been locked in the house with somebody for the last 2 months and you're ready to kill each other,
Yeah.
So James, I'll let you take the helm here just on mental strength. Can we start with just talking about why is mental power in communication important?
Yeah. Well, right now, everyone is experiencing so much high emotion. There's so many things happening, in the world at large, in our individual lives,
Yeah.
that can lead us to being afraid for our future, and starting to question ourselves and our own power, our own ability to deal with what's going on. And so, when you know that that's the environment, you know that you're being emotionalized. Those emotions can trigger patterns of thinking that can limit what you're capable of doing, how you're capable of reacting. And I think it's most important right now that whatever we do, however we react to the environment, whether with our words, our actions, that it's from a place of centeredness in our thoughts, that we are choosing carefully how we respond to things rather than just reacting. Because there's forces out there right now trying to get us to just react to things and inflame things more. And, the big thing that I always stress is to understand that we actually do have control over our own thoughts, and that emotions ultimately are cognitive based. So you can even control your own emotions to some degree. People will say, well, you shouldn't suppress emotions, and that's true. But I think it's really important that
There's
we
a
all
difference between
stop.
suppression and discipline, though.
Exactly. You don't have to suppress, but you also don't have to act out.
Right.
And so I think it's really important that we all remember we are in control of our own minds, but only when we choose to be. You know,
Yeah.
we're not actually choosing our thoughts so much of the time.
Well, and I think the other thing that we see a lot of, especially when we're teaching people combat, right? Like, and this is one of the reasons that when we're teaching them whether it's hand-to-hand stuff or firearms or whatever it is, when people get emotionalized, they start becoming the servant to their emotions instead of making the emotions their servant. And the problem with that is that if you're looking to do anything successful, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's financial, I just made that word up. I don't think that's a real word. So whether that's financial or if it's, if you're going to do something combatively, when that guy, like when we were fighting against the Dog Brothers back in the day, and you got a guy like swinging at your head with a stick, and he's not just attacking you out of skill, he's attacking you out of fear. Right. And that is, to me, has always been one of the most dangerous opponents is people who are in fear, because people who are in fear, you don't quite know what they're willing to do and where they're willing to go and how far they're willing to take it. And when we start to learn and understand that if I'm moving and I'm fighting and I'm fighting out of skill, now my emotions serve me. When Bruce Lee was talking, and for those of you that don't know, my dad lived and trained with Bruce Lee from 1967 to 69, off and on, and a phenomenal guy. And there's a lot of great JKD instructors out there right now: Steve Grody, Tim Tackett, Chris Kent, Burton Richardson. This is my little plug for all those guys. Those guys are phenomenal. Okay. But when my dad was training with Bruce had this concept of emotional content. It wasn't about anger. It wasn't about, it's about feeling it. It's about containing emotion. And when we learn how to fight in an effective and mission specific way, if you will, where we're being deliberate with where we're headed, now you can be a more dangerous human being, right? But if I'm in fear, if I'm scared, if I'm functioning with a way that I go, I'm going to throw this punch, but I'm only throwing this punch because I'm afraid he's going to punch me, you're going to get blasted and you're going to have a broken jaw and you're going to be drinking out of a straw for a while. Right. And that's a problem. When I fight, I don't take just my it contains emotion, but I let go of feeling, if that makes any sense. And when we let go of feeling, we can be mission specific and go where we want. I'm not going to let your fear, like, you might hurt me. You might break every bone in my body, and I will deal with that later. Right now, I'm going to rip your arms off and beat you to death with them. Right. Like that's what's going on inside of my head.
Yeah, and I
Go ahead.
think even in non-combative situations, to some degree, the same applies. And
Yes.
maybe it's not about completely letting go of emotion, but not letting emotion drive your focus and what you're thinking about, and especially thoughts about the self. And I think this is really important right now is self thoughts and anything that you could start with "I am." We want to really watch for that right now because we were talking about this earlier, and even I myself have noticed recently thoughts coming up where I start thinking, I don't know if I've got what it takes. I don't know if I'm good enough to handle what I'm being called to do. And as soon as I notice that I'm thinking that, because noticing is a part you have to train yourself to notice, but you got to slam the brakes on that right away because it will become your reality and you will start to embody that weakness. Whereas if you just stop and go, okay, that's what I'm thinking. I know it seems real right now, but instead I'm going to think, I know I've got what it takes. I'm getting better and better all the time. I'm working towards being stronger. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And that can turn it all around and you can be so much more empowered and have so many more options when you're thinking that way as opposed to focusing on your own inability.
And getting a good tribe around you, I think, is
Yeah.
essential. That's one of the big things we talk about at Shockwave is you've got to have a powerful tribe in
Yeah.
order to survive and to thrive inside of hard times. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to turn on the news, or you're going to put on your social media, you're going to get dragged into some 6-hour nonsensical Facebook conversation that's not going to lead to anything. Like at the end, the people are still riled up and they hate each other, but now you didn't get the laundry done,
Right.
or you didn't get any training done. So getting a good proximity around you of people who will help strengthen your heart, strengthen your mind, and get yourself into a position where you can really start to drive. Do you need to say something on that?
Well, what I'm saying, that doesn't necessarily mean people who always agree with you and
Oh,
people who always
100%.
see things the same as you. I mean, you and I disagree about a lot. We have a lot of really different viewpoints on things, but yet what we do have is a mutual respect, and we have the capacity to understand that the world is larger than either of us. And
Yes.
so we can, and so this is what's so important in communication. Even with your own tribe, you have to be able to communicate from a place of chosen thought and careful, and honesty. You have to be honest about what you're experiencing, and you have to be honest when you know the limitations of your own experience, and to say, okay, I know you've got different experiences than me, and so that's why you have a different viewpoint. So let's talk it out, but I'm not going to say that I'm always right or you're always wrong or you're always right and I'm always wrong. There's no
Because
easy
we're not
answer.
trying to be right or wrong. We're trying to find the
Exactly.
truth. And
Yeah.
in mutual respect for of opposition, right? And that's the thing. Like when we fight, like there's a lot of guys at Shockwave, we fight with each other. We hit each other. We're trying to take our heads off, right? But that's how we find the truth. But we have mutual respect for each other, right?
And that
so
has to start with respect for yourself. And that's the important thing
bingo.
too.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things. And we'll wrap this up here in a second because James and I both have to get going, but we felt it was important to kind of chime in here and just let everybody know that the direction you need to take right now is not letting your emotions control yourself, but really getting to that point of understanding the psychology of how you function and how to break habits. Because if you're functioning out of fear and anxiety and you're functioning out of disrespect,
And I really want to emphasize, this is in no way to say that any of those emotions that people are having are wrong or inappropriate. It's just about tactics. That's what we're about, is tactics. The emotionalization is too much being weaponized right now, and you need to be in control of that so that you're not just adding to the problem.
unless you're looting and rioting, in which case I think James and I can both agree on the fact that we don't think that that's helping anything.
Yeah.
But but you guys' ability to communicate on the opposite sides of the table is really where the power is.
Yeah.
Right. And I will tell you, and James knows this about me, I'm the kind of man, I surround myself with a bunch of people that don't agree with me because that's what enables us to actually grow. I don't care about being right or wrong. I care about seeking the truth. And if you claim to be a Christian, if you claim to be any real religion, you need to be like the person who is seeking the truth, not to be right or wrong. Because when you're trying to be right or wrong, that dives into ego, which is a conversation we don't have time for right now. But if you guys would like to get more information on how to do some training with Shockwave, go ahead and head to the address down below, www.shockwavedefense.com/apply. It'll ask you to set up. It'll let you pick out some times where you can set up a strategy call, which we do for free. And we just sit there and chat with you. We'll spend about 45 minutes on fit for one another, what's working, what's not working, and how to get clarity so that you can train at your ultimate peak, so you can get to that point in life that you wanted to get to. I know a lot of people tell me, I've wanted to do this for years, and now I'm finally doing it because freaking people are outside of my house shooting. Okay, well, let's start sooner. Okay, let's actually get that training ready, because the reality is, and you and I were talking about this, right? I meet guys all the time, and they go, I got like 45 guns at my house. And I'm like, hey, that's freaking great, but we're at Walmart. So what happens if something goes down right now, right? Things in emergencies will happen when you least expect them. And they will pop up, and whatever you've got on is what you've got on, right?
And that's when it's what's in here, that's your best weapon.
That's exactly why we train that so much, because no matter where I go in the world, I can repurpose anything as an instrument of defense. And I train that to my students. I think that's important. If you don't know how to repurpose weapons around you or everyday common items and turn them into something you can defend yourself and your family with, you got a problem. Having 45 guns at home, hey, that's cool. That's great. I'm sure you take a lot of great pictures on Facebook with them, and that's fantastic. But it's not going to go down at that time. Like, it never happens when we're ready for it. Right? It happens when you're like, I just finished cleaning my guns. You want some ice cream? Yeah, let's go get some ice cream. Right? You freaking head out with your family. You go get ice cream, and then all of a sudden there's some craziness going on. You're like, man, I wish I had my awesome triple-decker bulletproof vest with this and that and my tack gear and all that crap that I don't have right now. You are the weapon. And that's exactly what you should always train. And when I say you are the weapon, yes, your body's your weapon, but it starts with this. Right? If you don't learn how to own that and control that and respect yourself, you're done before it started. Do you have anything you want to add, James?
No, that's great. Just that this Thursday we'll be talking specifically about communicating under stress. And so we're going to go into that a lot, how to communicate with your family, with your spouse, with yourself, but specifically when you're under that pressure, under that stress, and we all are. So let's get some strategies on that.
And for those of you that are looking on how to do that, you want to set up a strategy call, because that's only going to happen in the active Dillijai Warriors group. And for those of you that are all jumping in there trying to get in, that only happens when you are an active Dillijai Warrior, when you're an actual student of the facility. So if you get declined, we're not trying to be mean to you. We just, simple fact, we still love you. You're just not a active Dillijai Warrior. You're not part of the training. So we'd love to get you guys into that. James, thank you for being with us today. For those of you that tuned in and watched, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. May God bless you and keep you and teach you how to behave during these times that are going on, and just own your heart, own your mind, own your thoughts. Stop letting the world tell you what to think and what's right and wrong. Really seek that. And if you need to go into prayer and fasting and meditation in order to do that, then freaking do it, or you're going to be a pawn in a puzzle. Okay. Look forward to talking to you guys this Thursday. James, I will see you tomorrow. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.